There's a great deal of nostalgia for the old cotton towns. But in 1842, Engels said Oldham is one of the worst towns, practically no more than a huge working-class community. The town has been badly built, and the pall of smoke has blackened the houses of red brick. Oldham grew rapidly in the 19th century to become a world centre of coarse cotton spinning. In the boom year of 1907, a new mill was opened every month. From the age of 12, men and women worked in the mill or in textile machinery works. Hours were long, work was hard, but the self-contained communities which grew up in the small terraced streets, wedged between the mills, are remembered in these supposedly better times with genuine affection. St Mary's was built in the 1860s and 70s, in a small triangle north of the parish church. The terraces and cobbled streets slope down from Oldham Edge and overlook the centre of town. Everything people could want was in that small area. It was bounded by factories and mills, a Catholic and Anglican church and 4 schools. The famous Oldham market, Tommy Field, lay at one corner of St Mary's, and by 1900 the area had over 30 small corner shops, from cloggers to pawnbrokers. Culture and fun were found in 10 public houses, a cinema, a theatre, bookies and gambling dens. For the more serious-minded, the Labour Party and the Catholic Church were strong forces in the community. Despite all these advantages, the simple houses were neglected by landlords. As early as 1886, Oldham's medical officer of health said, "The form which poverty takes in St Mary's is unhealthy dwellings." In 1900, half the deaths each year were of children under 5. The neighbourhood created its own support system, protecting its members from the worst effects of poverty. Out of hardship grew friendship and kindness.
It was 2 up, 2 down, you know. Very small. 2 good houses on either side. Held mine up, mine were falling down.
Nellie Cartwright was born in 1918. Her future husband, Billy, lived opposite her in William Street. They lived in the same street for 25 years and brought up 7 children there.
Not very nice houses, but I had all my children there. They grew up until demolition there, you know. They couldn't play indoors, it wasn't big enough. 7 children in a little house like that, table, sideboard, 2 chairs, there was no room for nothing else. You didn't need a full carpet. A strip would do, you know.
Fred Pearson was born in 1910. The Pearsons lived in Whiteley Street, and Fred found his own house in the street when he married Betty Entwistle in 1933.
Correct, I think they were. I mean, we weren't so bad like we had 2 bedrooms and just the 2 children, but some they had 5 or 6 kids, just the 2 bedrooms. And sometimes, you know, some of them, they sit round to a meal, they couldn't all sit round the table, they used to all stand up or around the table. Oh, yeah. I don't know how they managed it. There must have been 3 and 4 in a bed. I'm not saying they were all like that, but, you know, just 1 or 2. It hardly bears thinking about now, what the conditions were. It's when they have a communal yard. See, you might have 6 houses, 3 toilets. Oh, you used to get the old tin bath. You used to boil the water in the gas boiler, throw it in, and turns and turns it, get it in the bath. As we got older, I mean, we were only a few minutes walk off central baths, and we used the local baths more than anything.
Ivy Scott was born in 1924. Her widowed mother, Elsie, brought up Ivy and her sister Anne in a house on Bar Gap Road at the top of St Mary's near Oldham Edge.
And then she brought the 2 of us up out to the wash tub. She used to wash for people and iron, and we used to take it back and all this business. And she worked very hard, very hard. Eventually, she died at 54 years old, which was young comparatively, but actually she'd worn herself out, I think.
We used to use sweeping brush on that, but because we're no hoovers then, or
no carpets.
No carpets on floor sometimes with coconut matty.
I mean, your mother used to bake and then do all the washing. Use the old slop stone for scrubbing the clothes. And then she used to have a special day for black lead in the old Yorkshire grate.
You name it, I've done it. Nursing children, cleaning for people, washing for them. You had to do something in between having children while you got a job back, you see, while you got a proper job. And you'd nurse other people's children going to school for a bob or two, you see. You had to do something, because wages weren't the same as they are now, and you needed money just the same as anybody else, didn't you?
Somebody started in mill. What time? You started in mill about 7 o'clock,
7
didn't you?
o'clock, yeah.
Well, they used to knock her up. Knock her up used to come along and used to wake in the street up. Terrible noise. They'd tell her, they used to have a lot of wires on a big pole and used to rattle on the windows. You'd shout down, right, I'm up, you know. An uncle of mine, he was poorly. So they got another bloke to do his job, and he was deaf and dumb. He said, how did it go on? He said, well, he kept banging on window, he said. What happened? I said, he had to get out of bed, come downstairs and shove him away from the window. Let he go away.
Ivy started work alongside her mother as a weaver in Durker Mill.
And the mill manager there was very crafty because he put my mum between my sister and I so that we couldn't sneak out anywhere, because immediately we looked as though we was going anywhere. Where are you going? Because you got paid for what you wove. You earned every penny you got in the mill, every penny, and it was hard work. It really was. Because everybody used to work in the mill. You had no choice when you left school. You either went in the shop or went in the mill.
Betty Pearson started work in the card room of a cotton mill at the age of 14.
When I went in mill at first, I worked a month for nothing, learning. And then when I used to draw a wage, it used to be 1 and 6. Oh, it was very noisy. And, you know, you couldn't hear anybody speak. And you used to be knee-deep in cotton and that when you were working.
You used to come out of cotton like snowmen.
Yes, all full of cotton on your hair, on your clothes and everything. Oh, it was smashing at it. I don't regret one hour of it.
And it was always the policy that 2 men for 1 man's job. And you knew that you had to keep that job. And if I turned up at 2 minutes past 6, there was somebody on my looms and I was sent home for the day, which was a lot of money to lose in one week, a day's wage.
Big walks, we'd walk for miles and miles and miles, you know. Because you had no money to spend on anything. We used to go walks and used to go in the park, you know, on these prowl bars and where have you. There weren't a lot you could do. We used to play, naturally, we all played rugby and football in the street, but it were probably only with a nail bag or a pig's bladder.
We used to dance. If they'd no money to go out, they'd be dancing in the street. Somebody would turn a radio on or something. There were no television or nothing. They'd be learning one another to dance in the street and that.
And as you got older, you started drinking beer. We were drinking beer before your father found out, like, you know. Because he asked me one time, he said, I believe you even going in a pub. I said, yeah. He said, drinking beer? I said, yeah. He said, what do you drink beer for? I said, well, I found out I liked it. And I've been drinking it ever since. The Edgerton End. It was a great pub. My brother-in-law kept it. Tom Ross, best landlord in Oldham. The best beer in Oldham. Like when it were proper Wilson's. Oh, it was a great pint. I mean, that's what made it so popular. And you can always stick a few pints, you know. He's died now. I bet there were scores of people who owed him money and he never got it back. And more like a meeting place of all your mates. He used to go every night, you know. It's a special tap room where the lads used to gamble and play cards, and then we had a little room, what we call the snug. Used to have a game of cards and then have a sing-song. Then the women used to have a room on their own.
Yeah.
Kept them separate. Yeah, some good times.
One of the highlights of the Edgerton Ends year was the annual pub outing, one for men and one for women.
Well, they all have their fortitude, you know, when they set off. Wouldn't take them when they come back. Goodness, if you took your wife with you, you wouldn't enjoy yourself as much, would you?
No. You're right.
She'd be watching you how many pints you'd sucked or something like that. No, they got separate. Women's strip and a men's strip.
We had some good outs women as on
Yeah,
there.
they are.
We had that. Women used to sing their heads off and no bother at all. You know, funny messing with fellas out like that. No bother about that. You just went, just enjoy yourself, and we did. There's never a wrong word with nobody. But used to sing us heads off, going and coming back.
Never lived it, they haven't done a few parties, never lived. Oh, it's what you call feeling of well-being, you know. You don't care for nobody, nobody cares for you.
You had to stop in many a time. You know, you couldn't go out every night having a drink. You couldn't avoid it. But when you did go out, you didn't overspend and you didn't overdrink. If you got drunk, shall we say, it was because you'd had a win or something. There was no extra money for it. They were kind of pinched out of what you had. But nobody seemed to be undernourished. Yes, I could have sat down and cried many a time, I think I did do. But that didn't pay your rent. It pay your coal, man. I mean, my mother always said, pay your rent and pay your coal, fella. 2 bags of coal a week. She said, you can have bloody toasted house and nobody knows you're warm and dry, aren't you?
We used to have free dinners and free clogs and things like that, and I really don't know how she managed. I really don't know how she managed to bring us up, because we was always clean but poorly dressed. And I hated going for free breakfast, and so did my sister. I hated going for free dinners and free clogs, and I thought, when I grow up, I'm not going to have this. But the worst part was at Christmas time, going to Tockage, giving you all grotty toys what nobody else wanted. And we used to cry all the way back and cry all the way home. And, I didn't like it one bit. My mum used to save up. How she did it, I don't know, but she did. And once a year, we used to go to the Palace Theatre. But we had to line up round the back. And then by the time we got in, it was thousands of stairs to our little legs. It seemed as though we were climbing up to heaven, up and up and up. We got to the top gallery, the very, very top. And then it was this panto. Cinderella, that was the one I liked best, because there was more colour and fairies and lovely sparkly things and all that. I used to love that. And these beautiful dresses and fairies and things. Oh, it was absolutely magnificent. We lived it and relived it all the time. It was really, really nice. I enjoyed it. It was great. Yeah, and we used to just get lost for a couple of hours, you know. Really, it was worth all the scrimping and saving and climbing and messing.
And then there was plenty of entertainment. Well, there were about 5 or 6 picture places you could go for fourpence.
Oh, it was the Alhambra, it was the bug house, used to call it. It was fantastic. We used to go there and not let my mum know we'd gone, because my mother used to say they had fleas, we hadn't to go. But we used to creep there. And then my sister, or maybe me, would let it out that we'd been right away the tin bath, hot water, carbolic soap, head scrubbed. Ooh, she used to go mad because we'd been there.
St Mary's had its own class system.
Oh yes, there were some of the elite people. There were about 4 houses just facing where we lived. They used to have the big knobs at Oldham Church, but they were just them two, you know. All them were kept decorated outside. We say on our houses you never saw any paint on, you know. But they were like a bit elite in their own tin pot way, you know. I don't suppose they were any better off than we were.
You had to work for a living, just saying.
Yeah, they were 2 founders. They were really more or less a bit snotty.
People with plenty of money, regular work, and then the ordinary people. My mother used to draw what they call outdoor relief. That was parish outdoor relief. Used to give you money to manage on, you know. And then there was the people that owned the mills, and of course they had the big houses near the mill. But there was streets where they was in regular work, and there was what we call the posh folk, you know. They didn't have the clogs on, and they didn't have this, and they didn't have that. But it was a good social life if you kept within your own people, you know, like people the same as you.
Oh, that there were one woman in streets who used to run a money club, a 20-week club.
Mrs. Bird.
And there was, you might know names, should you? So, they used She used to have numbers 1 to 20. You paid 2 shilling for a shilling for 20 weeks. And when your number come up, you got £1. But what she used to do, nearly everybody got a number 1, but she used to knock 2 bob off. So they got about 18 shilling. She used to make 2 bobs off all these people. Them they are unofficial money lenders. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I never fancied that woman.
My mother-in-law used to go in and take Billy's suit to pawn shop every Monday morning. A good job we never went out during the week because he couldn't have had his suit on. And we had to wait while she got her coppers at weekend to get it out. We were married at Saturday, and at Monday night we were going out with my father and some of their friends, and there were no suit in the wardrobe. I thought we'd been burgled, you see. And he says, my mother laughed on it. I said, well, I wouldn't like to tell you what I said about his mother. She says, well, I pawn it every Monday. While he were at home, I said, well, he's not at home, he's married to me now. She said, well, I bought him the suit. I said, yes, but you give me the bill for it.
There was husbands coming home drunk at dinner time, having a holy row and throwing them out. And, you know, I don't think it was crime, it was more anger, and they'd go and have a booze up and come home and have a good row and that. But there wasn't the vicious crime that there is today, you know. There really wasn't, because if you did anything, like say you did something wrong out there, the policeman at the park, he'd swing that cape round with these lads' ears and he'd give them a right wallop, and they knew they got it. And you went home and you got another one at home. So they sort of knocked it out of you, you know, they really did. But not saying it was all sweetness and light, it wasn't. We all had our moments, but there was a lot of people would rally around you if they knew you was in trouble. Well, I think so anyway. Them are my memories of St Mary's.
Apart from the pubs and the pictures, the only escape from the daily round came once a year during Wakes Week. By the 1930s, many mill workers could afford to visit Blackpool.
Well, Wakes Week, oh, well, I mean, all the mills shut down, didn't they? And they organised, if you had any money, you could go to Blackpool for a week. They used to run these Wakes clubs.
A shilling a week in Wakes Club, £2.10. They could go away for a week with that. And I used to go on train for 9 shilling, £1 for me lodgings, and for a pier ticket for dancing. And I used to save about 2 shilling for some rock to bring home.
Doctors used to tell you, he was surprised when all the people at Oldham Wakes went away on their holidays. He says, and that's the only time that Oldham was really clean, because there were no mills belching smoke out. He said it were the healthiest part. Oh, very popular. Because, I mean, it weren't so far away, was it? You used to spend nearly all your time on pier, dancing and what have you. And we used to go in these digs, and many times they used to let you buy your own food.
And you had to pay for it, salt and pepper.
You pay for it, salt and pepper.
Extra.
Yeah, you say you take some boiled lamb in with you, a bit of fish they'd cook, and then they'd supply with boiled potatoes, something like that. It would be about 25 bob a week, weren't it?
Yeah.
Like that.
For those who couldn't afford the trip to Blackpool, there was a Wakes Week fair on their doorstep on Tommyfield Market.
Well, they used to always go to a great big Wakes fair, you know.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't afford to go away. They said at home, that's all there was to it. Oh, it was great. Well, I bet it was.